Hello there, my dear sleepy listener. I'm so glad you're here, right now, or at least what feels like now. You've come to rest for the evening. The lights are soft. Your body is beginning to let go, like a shoreline surrendering to the sea. And as you settle in, I'd like to ask you something simple, something quiet. What if you're not actually in the present moment right now? Before we drift too far, can I ask a tiny favour before you drift away into peaceful slumber? Please take a moment to like this video, leave a gentle comment about your favourite moment of science, and subscribe to keep these bedtime stories coming. Maybe even share your location and time zone so we can know where in the world this quiet moment is being shared. Now, dim the lights, get cozy, and let your curiosity float alongside the stars. You close your eyes, and the world softens, but somewhere in the background of your thoughts, the moment continues, or does it? You see, there's something strange about the present. We talk about it like it's solid, like it's here, but science tells us that the now you're experiencing may have already passed. Your brain isn't a mirror. It's not showing you the world in real time. It's a storyteller, a composer, a delay line. By the time you see a light, feel a touch, or hear these words in your ears, they've already happened, milliseconds ago. Your brain has already received the signals, organized them, stitched them into a single smooth moment, and only then, after all that work, does it hand you the experience and say, here you go, this is the present. But that now isn't now. Not really. It's a reconstruction, a soft illusion assembled from bits of delay and prediction, and you rest inside it as if it were whole. It's like watching a star from light years away. The glow you see left its source long ago, and yet it arrives in your eyes as if it's happening right here, right now. Your body works the same way. Your brain is the sky. Your senses are starlight. But does that make this moment any less real, or does it make it even more beautiful that what you call now is a performance, a collaboration, a gentle lie told with kindness so you can live in time without being lost in it? Some scientists call this the specious present, the small window of time your mind builds to feel like one seamless now. It's only about 3 seconds wide, but in those 3 seconds, you live a life. You laugh, you cry, you breathe, you remember who you are, all inside a moment that has already passed by the time you know it. Strange! Isn't it comforting too? Because it means you're always slightly behind reality, but never far from it. You're close enough to feel the warmth, to trace the echoes, and maybe that's enough. Next, we'll drift into how your brain edits time, how even your thoughts aren't quite in sync with what's happening. But for now, let this moment be soft. Let it be forgiven for arriving a little late. You don't have to chase it. It's already here, or at least close enough. You're still here, still floating, and the moment is still pretending to hold still for you. But if you listen closely, if you soften just a little more, you'll begin to feel it. The quiet slipping of time between your thoughts. Your mind isn't a clock. It doesn't tick with mechanical precision. It drifts. It edits. It fills in blanks. You might think your awareness is continuous, a stream of light flowing effortlessly from one moment to the next. But in truth, you are more like a film, a flicker, a sequence of stitched together frames with soft blinks in between. And yet, you don't notice the gaps. Your brain hides them, smooths them over. It takes the spaces, the silences, the flickers and turns them into a story. the story of now. Imagine looking at a lightning flash. You see it instantly, or so it seems, but your brain had to wait for the light to hit your eyes, for neurons to fire, for circuits to process what happened. And still, by the time you register it, your brain has already begun to guess what comes next. That guesswork, it's not a flaw, it's a feature. Your brain is constantly predicting, constantly trying to stay just ahead of what already occurred. Scientists call this temporal integration. Your senses don't live in the present. They live in windows, brief ones, like overlapping bubbles of time. Your mind gathers those bubbles, averages them, and paints you a picture you can live inside. You've felt it before. When you've caught a ball before you even saw it move. When you braked your bike before your eyes fully saw the obstacle. That wasn't instinct. That was your brain slipping into the future just a little. And yet, when you sit still like now and close your eyes, you feel as though you're right here, right now, but you're not. You're always a little late, and your brain is always playing catch-up and prediction at the same time. But somehow, you never notice. You feel whole. You feel present. Because the illusion is so well crafted, so seamless. A kind of time cloth stitched by your neurons with invisible thread. Some scientists call this a moving spotlight of attention. You shine your mind on what you think is now, but the light is always just behind where the world really is. And yet, the delay doesn't disturb you, because the world waits with you. So what does this mean for you? Here, in your quiet room with the hum of your body beneath the blanket, it means you don't need to be perfect to be real. You don't need to catch up to feel caught. You're allowed to live in the story your brain creates for you, even if it's a few milliseconds late, even if the moments don't quite line up, because they don't have to. They only have to feel like a world you can rest inside. Next, we'll drift into that world into the very way your mind reconstructs the present from flickers, fragments, and beautiful guesswork. But for now, let the seconds stretch. Let the gaps widen. Let the illusion be gentle enough to carry you towards sleep. You're not outside time. You're part of the soft editing that makes it feel like it's holding you. You're floating now in the dream space between moments. Still, held, unrushed. But something gentle begins to unfold a realization. A whisper of wonder. What you're calling the present, this moment right now, it isn't raw. It isn't real in the way a rock is real or a drop of water is real. It's a reconstruction, an elegant rendering, a curated exhibit your mind builds for you in real time and shows behind the curtain of your eyes. You're not witnessing reality. You're witnessing a version of it, your brain's best guess about what just happened and what might be happening next. A kind of hallucination, but one you can trust. Neurologists call this process perceptual binding. Your brain takes information from your eyes, ears, skin, and muscles, all arriving at different speeds, and merges it into a single, fluid experience, a cinematic edit stitched with precision, a mental montage synchronized to your heartbeat. And the fascinating part, it has to guess, because by the time all the pieces arrive, the world has already moved on. So your brain fills in the blanks. It predicts what was probably there. It smooths over uncertainty and says, this is what's happening now, even if it already happened a moment ago. You might imagine it like a painter recreating a landscape from delayed, scattered photographs, or like a conductor synchronizing an orchestra with sheet music that keeps arriving just a beat too late. And still the song plays, the world feels whole. When you touch something warm, the sensation lags behind the contact. When you hear someone's voice, your brain aligns it with the movement of their lips, even though the sounds and sights arrive at different times. Your brain cheats constantly, but it cheats with care, so that you don't feel the delays, so that you feel presence. In this way, the present moment is less like a photograph and more like a painting, an impression, a layered work of art, built on the edge of memory, balanced by probability, held together by faith. Some researchers believe this is the reason we can enjoy music, because the brain doesn't just hear notes, it expects them. It fills in the next beat before it happens, and in that filling, you feel emotion, surprise, release, a sense of flow. What if all of life is like that, not fully present, but fully felt? You lie here now in the quiet of your room, and you feel present. But that presence isn't a raw download. It's a carefully reconstructed, now a delicate gift wrapped by your nervous system and handed to your mind. And it's always changing, always one step behind, always just enough to feel whole. Some philosophers wonder if the present is a mental construction. Is there any such thing as now at all if everything you feel has already happened? Are you always living in the past, or is the experience of now the only now that matters? You don't have to answer. You only have to rest in the knowledge that your mind is working like a quiet artist behind the scenes, making sure the world feels just real enough to fall asleep in. Next, we'll glide through how your brain turns light into vision and what it costs to feel that the world is immediate. But for now, let the reconstructions continue. Let the world keep assembling softly around you. The moment is always catching up, but you're not behind. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Close your eyes, just for a moment, and imagine light. Not light as you usually think of it, not the warm yellow glow of a lamp, or the gentle shimmer of moonlight on a quiet window pane, but light as it really is. Tiny messengers, photons, moving at the fastest speed possible, carrying information from everything they touch, from stars, from skin, from memory, and now light comes to you. You open your eyes again, and the room appears, but what you're seeing is not the room as it is. You're seeing what light told you moments ago, a few millionths of a second late, always, because that's how long it takes for photons to reach your eyes, for your retina to respond, for your brain to make sense of what just arrived. You don't see the world instantly. You see what just happened, then call it now. It's like watching a delayed broadcast of reality. But your brain edits the lag. It blurs the pause. It smooths the cut. And suddenly, you feel like you're watching it all as it happens. It takes about 13 milliseconds for your eyes to send signals to your brain's visual cortex. That's not long, but it's not nothing. And your brain uses those milliseconds to do something astonishing. It predicts, it corrects, it fills, it renders, like a filmmaker who's already imagined the next frame before the first one finishes playing. That's why you don't see in flashes. You see in fluidity, and yet underneath it all it's still just light, waves, particles, dancing toward you and through you. Some of the light hitting your skin right now left the sun 8 minutes ago. You're warmed by something that happened on another part of the sky. You're never quite touching what you feel, but you feel it all the same. There's a strange kind of beauty in this, that everything you perceive is already part of the past, that even your reflection in the mirror is a memory of light bouncing off your face, travelling centimetres, then returning to your eyes. all in silence, all in speed, all in delay. And your brain accepts the delay, folds it in, lets it become the illusion of immediacy, so you can move without confusion, so you can see without panic, so you can feel like the world is happening to you now, even when it's not. Some say this is the cost of vision, some say it's the price of perception, but maybe it's just the rhythm. Maybe time and light are dancing together, and you're the floor they move across. Next, we'll explore what it means to live inside that delay where your decisions are made before you even feel them. But for now, let the light keep arriving. Let it wrap gently around your resting form. It doesn't need to be current to feel real. You are here, even if here already passed. You're calm now. Your body is quiet. Your thoughts drift in long, slow curves, like waves folding themselves into shore. And in this softness, another quiet question arrives. What if your decisions happen before you know them? It sounds impossible at first, but scientists have studied this. They've watched the brain light up with activity before a person becomes aware of making a choice. You lie still in a lab, fingers resting lightly on buttons. A clock ticks. You're told to press left or right whenever you feel like it, and when you press, you say, "Now." That was the moment I chose, but the machines tell a different story. Your brain made the decision a full third of a second earlier, before your conscious mind even felt like choosing. This discovery began decades ago in the work of Benjamin Libet, who studied the space between intention and action. And since then, the research has deepened. It turns out your awareness of decision is often the last to know. You are the narrator, not the author, the storyteller, not the spark. And yet, you still feel free. You still feel like you choose. Well, because your mind is layered, like clouds. Thoughts float on top, but beneath them are deeper currents, neural activity, priming, micro-decisions, all weaving together into a sense of will that arrives just in time to feel like yours. It's not that you're not choosing. You are. But the choosing begins in places your awareness can't reach, at least not right away. And by the time you feel "I want this," you're catching up to something already in motion. So what does that make you? An illusion? No. Not at all. You are not the illusion. You're the witness to a process that includes you. You're the spotlight falling gently on the stage just as the actor moves. And somehow, that timing is enough. Imagine a wave forming on the ocean. You might say the wave decides to crest, but really it's the result of wind, depth, currents. Still, the wave is real. It moves. It shines, just like you. Some scientists argue that free will may not be what we thought, that it's not a single moment of pure agency, but a cascade of overlapping causes that converge into action. But that doesn't make you less human. It makes you more beautiful. A chorus of hidden processes harmonizing into what feels like a thought. So here, in your bed, with the night outside and your breath like a gentle pendulum, you can release the need to be fully in control. You're not failing by being delayed. You're not broken by being built this way. You're part of a system that makes you feel present just late enough to feel alive. Next, we'll wander through the mind's strange relationship with time, how your brain doesn't just remember and perceive, but also constantly predicts. But for now, rest inside this pause. Let your decisions arrive without worry. You're not behind. You're riding the tide of something deeper, and it's carrying you exactly where you need to go. You're still resting. Your breath has taken on that slow, tidal rhythm in and out, like the sea remembering the shore. And within that rhythm, your mind begins to stretch, not outward, but through time. Because your brain, even in this sleepy quiet, is never in just one moment. It is always elsewhere. It's remembering, replaying, anticipating. Your mind is a traveller soft-footed, quiet, slipping between what was and what might be, and sometimes it forgets where it is. Scientists call this process mental time travel. It's what allows you to revisit your childhood as if it were a place, to imagine next week as if it's already unfolding. It's not a glitch, it's a feature. You live inside a timeline that bends, that folds back to touch old moments, that reaches forward to test possible futures, and somewhere in the middle, you call that place now. But the truth is, you're rarely here. Even now, as you rest in this moment, your brain is flickering. Little pulses of memory, faint threads of worry, tendrils of imagination. It's never still. It's never fully present. But that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're woven. The parts of your brain that remember the past are the same parts that imagine the future. There's no strict division. To reflect and to predict, they share neural pathways. Your hippocampus, your prefrontal cortex, these regions don't care about clocks. They care about context. So when you recall a favourite evening, you're not just watching a replay. You're recreating it, reassembling it, living it again through fragments of emotion, smells, sounds. And when you picture a future conversation, you're not just guessing, you're rehearsing, preparing, simulating. You're not stuck in linear time. You're swimming in it, darting forward, gliding back, resting briefly at the surface of now. Some psychologists suggest that this ability to mentally move through time is what makes us human, the inner cinema, the secret stage on which we play before the world ever sees. But it's not just a blessing. Sometimes you get caught, ruminating on something that hurt, worrying over something that hasn't happened, and then you feel it, the heaviness, that ache of being out of sync with what's really here. But tonight, there's no need to resist that. Because that drifting, that mental travelling is not your failure. It's your design. You're not meant to be pinned to a single dot in time. You are a range, a curve, a soft blur between before and after, and somewhere within that blur, you exist. Next, we'll step into the quantum world where time doesn't always move forward, and particles seem to play by very different rules. But for now, let yourself wander. Let your thoughts loop back. Let them reach ahead. You're not escaping the moment. You're expanding it. You're not late. You're not early. You're everywhere. Your mind is willing to go. You're gliding now, slower than thought, quieter than breath, deeper than dreaming. And beneath all the moments you've ever lived in, beneath clocks, beneath memory, beneath even perception, there is a smaller world, a stranger one, the quantum realm. This is not a place of logic, not in the way we understand it here. Particles exist not in one location, but in possibilities. They shimmer across states neither here nor there until you ask them to choose. They don't move through time in a straight line. Sometimes they don't seem to move through it at all. At this scale, the concept of now becomes slippery. What does it mean to be present when particles can exist in many positions at once, when their state depends on whether or not they're being observed? You've heard of this, perhaps quantum superposition. A particle isn't here or there, It's both, until it isn't, until someone or something looks. You rest now in the gentle confusion of that, because even though it sounds abstract, even though it seems impossibly small, your entire body is built from this uncertainty. Every atom in you, every proton and electron is a little mystery, behaving more like a cloud of maybe than a speck of now. And then there's quantum entanglement. Two particles, separated by distance, seem to know each other's state instantly, not delayed, not bound by light, as if they're not two things at all, but one thing seen from different sides. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, but it happens. And it suggests something beautifully strange, that time and space are not always the final word. That connection may run deeper than causality. In this world, the future might influence the past. Outcomes may not exist until chosen, and the present. It isn't a slice, it's a fog, a whisper, a probability still deciding what it wants to be. And somehow, in the middle of all this unpredictability, your body works, your brain thinks. You lie in bed and listen to a voice and feel comfort. From chaos, order arises. From maybes, a sense of you. You're not made of clocks. You're made of clouds of possibility that somehow learned how to hold hands and become form. And maybe, just maybe now is the same way. Not a point, but a gathering, a convergence of uncertain things that, for a moment, agree to be real. Next, we'll return from the quantum and move back into the mind to explore how even your thoughts live on different timelines. But for now, let the uncertainty remain. Let it cradle you. You're not an accident. You're not an error. You're a quiet arrangement of cosmic ambiguity that somehow feels like a person falling asleep. You're lying still, but your mind is not one thing, it's many. Not a single voice, but a soft chorus whispering in different directions. Sometimes in harmony, sometimes not. And each part of that chorus has its own sense of time. The brain is not one clock. It is a network of time zones, each processing, reacting, and integrating at its own pace. Your visual cortex, that part that takes in light and shape it, moves fast. Tens of milliseconds from photon to picture, but your emotional brain, your amygdala, your limbic system, they move on slower tides. They process meaning, danger, longing, and they do it in deep, rolling waves. That's why you can react before you know why. It's why your heart races at the sight of a face before your thoughts catch up. It's why memories suddenly return when a smell drifts by on a summer night. One part of you is already remembering, while the rest of you is still surprised. These zones of the brain, they aren't always in sync. It's like watching a sunrise reflected in different windows. Some catch the light sooner, some hold it longer, and altogether, they shape your sense of now. Even your motor cortex, the part that moves you, must plan slightly ahead. When you reach for a cup, your brain began preparing before you felt the impulse. Because if it didn't, you'd be too slow. You're always living a little in the future, a little in the past, and somehow it all feels like the present. You can test this in dreams. There. Your thoughts often run ahead of reason. Images shift before you've decided. Scenes fold inward, and you wake feeling as though time moved differently. Because it did. Inside your head. The clocks never tick at the same rate. Some neuroscientists call this asynchronous consciousness. A mind stitched together from events that didn't quite happen at the same time but were experienced as if they did. You feel a thought and a feeling and a sensation all arriving together, even though they didn't. And yet you still feel like one person, not fractured, not scattered, whole. That's the miracle. That from this disjointed orchestra of neuronal timekeepers, you emerge with the illusion of a seamless now. You're not a unified moment. You're a constellation of timing, and somehow that constellation knows how to shine like a single star. Next, we'll zoom back out to the vastness of space and motion to discover how the universe itself has no single now to offer. But for now, let your thoughts drift at their own pace. Let emotion be slower than logic. Let memory be faster than explanation. You don't have to sync every part of yourself. You only have to listen as they sing in the key of you. You've been drifting gently within your own mind, watching thoughts fold over each other, watching time stretch and bend in the quiet spaces behind your eyes. But now, let's step outside. Let's leave the brain for a moment. Let's float outward, beyond the walls, beyond the sky, beyond the earth, into space. Because here the very idea of now begins to dissolve. Imagine two people, two gentle travellers. One remains on earth, walking among trees, drinking warm tea, reading soft books by lamplight. The other boards a spacecraft. They glide away from the planet, accelerating faster and faster still. From each person's perspective, they exist in a now, a present. But here's the twist. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, those two nows are not the same. You've heard of this before. Perhaps that time slows down as you move faster, that astronauts age a little more slowly than people on Earth. But the idea goes deeper. Einstein showed us that simultaneity, the concept that two things happen at once, is not absolute. It's relative. Relative to motion, relative to position, relative to the observer. So while you lie here, in the soft quiet of your room, and imagine a distant star blinking on the edge of the galaxy, you might ask, is that star shining now? And the strange answer is, it depends. It depends on your motion, your velocity, your position in space-time. Because the present, out there, is not a single moment that wraps around the universe like a blanket. It's more like a sheet that tilts and twists depending on how you move. Physicists call this the relativity of simultaneity. It means that now for you may not be now for someone else moving very fast in a different direction. And the faster they move, the more skewed their present becomes. So imagine this somewhere. On the far edge of the cosmos, a galaxy spins. It might already be gone. It might still be forming. And depending on your motion, either one could be true for you. This isn't science fiction. This is what the equations tell us. This is the structure of space-time, not a stage where events play out, but a fabric that warps and stretches under the weight of mass and motion. And now is not a line, it's a fold. You might wonder if there's no universal present. What does that mean for us? For our shared experiences, for love, for memory? If everyone carries their own clock, their own now, can we ever really be in the same moment? And the answer is both unsettling and beautiful. No, we're not always in the same now, but yes, we can still meet. We can agree on a shared sense of time. We can align our watches, our breathing, our hearts. We can create moments that feel shared, even if the universe doesn't agree. You're not trapped by relativity. You're invited by it, invited to realize that time is more flexible than you thought. That presence is not about perfect alignment. It's about connection despite difference. You lie in bed on a small spinning planet, and yet Your now is as real as any other, even if it's not the same now as someone moving through the stars, even if it's not the same now as a memory you hold close, or a dream you will one day live. Next, we'll slip into those dreams where time becomes even stranger, more fluid and more personal. But for now, let this version of now be enough. Let it hold you, even if it's only one of many. You're not missing the moment. You're simply resting in your own corner of it, and that is more than enough. The room is darker now, softer, quieter. The world around you has settled into the kind of stillness that only arrives when the mind begins to dissolve into something deeper. And it's here, right here, in this gentle half-sleep that the strange doors open. You feel it, the familiar beginning to slip, the edges of now beginning to blur, and suddenly you are dreaming. But it doesn't feel sudden, does it? It feels like you are always here, as though this new world has been waiting just behind your waking thoughts, ready to catch you in soft arms the moment you let go. And in this world, time doesn't behave. It doesn't march forward. It doesn't tick in rhythm. It folds. It skips. It loops. A single moment may stretch into hours. An entire year may pass in seconds. You may begin at the end and finish at the beginning. You've lived this. A dream where you're late for something, but don't know what. A dream where the sun rises twice and no one notices. A dream that feels like memory, but of something that never happened. Neurologists have studied this. During REM sleep, your brain becomes deeply active. The visual centers light up. Emotional circuits hum. But your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that tells time, that orders events, that insists on logic, it goes quiet, and without that guide, you are free. Free to move across your life without chronology, free to rewrite your story in reverse, free to step into futures you've never imagined and pasts that don't exist. And yet in the dream, it feels true. It feels realer than real. Some researchers believe that dreams are the playground of memory consolidation, a space where the brain sorts, reorganizes, and embeds what you've lived. But it does so without a timeline. It stacks moments not by order, but by emotion, by intensity, by meaning. So a conversation from last week might sit beside a childhood bicycle, and the feeling of flying through a window into a violet sky, and all of it belongs together. So what does this say about waking time? If your mind can experience whole worlds out of sequence, if it can feel the passage of hours in a breath, what is now, really? Is it just an agreement, a consensus between neurons, a fragile thread woven each morning and dissolved each night? Is it a trick, a kindness, or is it something else? A rhythm your body keeps so that your soul doesn't get lost. When you wake from a dream, you don't say it wasn't real. You say it felt real, and that feeling, that certainty comes not from the clock, but from within. Maybe time isn't about what's true. Maybe it's about what feels true when you're inside it. Maybe presence isn't measured in seconds. Maybe it's measured in attention. Next, we'll slip back into memory and explore how your brain stores time not as a straight path, but as a map made of places, scents, and stories. But for now, let the dream have you. Let the moments melt and stretch. You don't need to hold them in order. You only need to rest inside their softness. Even now, you may already be dreaming, and that's okay. The timeline can wait. You're floating now inside yourself, not through veins or skin or breath, but deeper into the folds of thought, into the quiet chambers where memory lives. This isn't a museum. It's not a file cabinet. It's not even a drawer full of names. It's a landscape, a map. And your memories, the moments you've lived, the seconds you thought you'd forgotten, they are not stored as dates or timestamps. They are stored as places. Your brain, especially a part of it called the hippocampus, remembers time by anchoring it to where you were when it happened. It doesn't just ask, what day was that? It asks, where were you? What did the air smell like? What colour was the light time? To your brain is a kind of geography. And so, when you remember, you travel. You walk through old kitchens. You sit on benches that no longer exist. You find yourself inside rooms built from sunlight and scent. And even if the moment is 20 years gone, you are there. Your mind rebuilds it, not with perfect detail, but with something even stronger. Presence. Neurologists call this episodic memory the ability to re-experience a past event with the sense that you were there. It's not the same as knowing a fact. It's not remembering that Paris is the capital of France. It's remembering the soft crunch of a croissant on a rainy street in Montmartre, while a stranger passed wearing perfume you've only ever smelled once. It's not data. It's a dream you once lived through. And here's the strange part. Your hippocampus doesn't just recall time, it creates it. It pieces together moments out of fragments. It links emotion to setting. It lets a quiet conversation in an airport become more permanent than entire years. So when you lie here and think about a person you miss, you're not just remembering them. You're moving through time. You're visiting a memory as if it were a place. And your body responds, your chest tightens, your breath slows, your eyes soften. Because your memory isn't stored in the past, it's alive. Scientists have even found that certain neurons in the hippocampus act like time cells firing in a specific order as events unfold, giving structure to your inner sense of when. But those sequences can be rewritten. The map can change. Memories aren't fixed, they are reconstructions. Every time you recall one, you paint over it, touch it, reshape it, and so your sense of time is always in motion, fluid, living, soft. Maybe that's why some memories fade like mist, while others glow like stars in a dark sky. Not because they were more important, but because they're more connected to place, to body, to feeling, time stitched to space, time held by love. And maybe that's all memory ever was, a way of staying close to what mattered, a map so you don't lose yourself in all the passing moments. Next, we'll slow even further and explore how presence sharpens time, how attention can stretch a second into forever. But for now, let your memories be landscapes. Let them come. Let them fade. You don't have to hold them all. Just know that you carry them inside you, not as lines, but as places you can return to any time you need to rest. You're slowing down now. Your thoughts are softer. The breath you take is deeper. The world has gone quiet, not because it left, but because you finally paused to hear it. And in that stillness, you may begin to notice something. Time feels different, longer, wider, thicker with presence. It's not because time itself has changed, it's because you have. When you bring your attention fully to a single sensation, the texture of a sheet against your arm, the low hum of the air, the cool exhale of breath through your nose, something shifts. You're no longer racing toward the next thing. You're resting in this one, and when you do that, the seconds don't rush. They open. Mindfulness, this ancient, quiet act of simply noticing, has a strange effect on time. It doesn't stop the clock, but it changes how you feel it, and that, for a brain like yours, is everything. Researchers have studied this. People asked to focus on a single task, a single breath, a single flame report that time seems to slow down. Even short moments feel fuller, richer, as though each tick of the second hand contains more light, more weight, more life. You've felt this, haven't you? The way time lengthens on a quiet walk when you stop thinking about the destination. The way a single note in a song can feel suspended in air forever when you're fully listening. The way a glance from someone you love can stretch into eternity in just 1 second. That's not time changing. That's you being here. Your brain isn't wired to process time like a metronome. It builds your sense of time from events, from sensations, from shifts in attention. When your awareness is scattered, moments blur together. Time seems to vanish. But when you gather your focus, when you become still, you give each moment more room to breathe, and so it grows. You're not measuring time in numbers, you're measuring it in noticing, and the more you notice, the slower it feels. Some meditation masters say that the present moment is all there is, but they don't mean that as a fact. They mean it as an experience, an invitation, to touch this breath and feel it stretch across galaxies, to notice your thoughts not as problems to solve, but as clouds passing by, to live inside the softness between one heartbeat and the next. And there's something healing in that, because time so often feels like pressure, a thing slipping away, a weight pulling us forward without asking. But in awareness, you are not being dragged. You are sitting inside the current, watching it move, but not swept up. You're here now, not because the world slowed down, but because you did. You chose not to hurry, and in that choice, you've made this moment longer than time alone ever could. Next, we'll drift into the mystery of flow, the state where awareness becomes so complete. Time disappears entirely, but for now, stay here a little longer. Notice the softness of your pillow, the gentle gravity of your limbs, the miracle of a thought rising and falling without effort. You're not behind. You're not late. You're exactly where the moment was always waiting for you. You've been sinking slowly into presence, breath by breath, and now something deeper begins to take shape. It's not sleep, and it's not wakefulness. It's a threshold, a doorway, a place where the self begins to dissolve, not in confusion, but in clarity. You've felt this before, even if you didn't have a name for it. That quiet stretch of experience when time falls away, when doing becomes being, when the minutes don't matter anymore because you're not tracking them. You've become the thing you're doing. That's flow. Flow is when the dancer becomes the dance, when the writer loses the sound of the keyboard, when the musician disappears inside the rhythm, when you, gentle listener, forget where you end and the moment begins. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi was one of the first to describe it. He called it a state of optimal experience. But flow isn't grand. It doesn't demand a stage. It can happen while washing dishes, while sketching a shape, while staring at clouds and forgetting that you're staring at all. And in flow, something beautiful happens to time. It disappears. People who enter deep flow report the same thing. They look up and hours have passed, or no time has passed at all. Time expands, contracts, vanishes. Because the part of the brain that tracks duration, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, quietly steps back. It stops narrating. It stops measuring. It lets go. you don't just lose track of time, you lose the need to track it. And in that loss, you feel whole, undivided, not pulled between past and future, but absorbed into the texture of now. This is not a shutdown, it's an awakening. In flow, your brain is deeply focused but not tense. There's effort but no strain, attention without self-consciousness. It's not that you disappear, it's that you're no longer watching yourself. You're no longer split between the one who acts and the one who sees. You're simply here. Some researchers describe flow as a merging of action and awareness. But those are just words. You know what it feels like. That quiet absorption. That gentle hum of everything clicking. That breathless sensation of being exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what needs to be done without thinking about needing to do it. And yes, it's rare. You can't force it, but you can invite it. With simplicity, with focus, with love, and with a willingness to surrender the timeline. You're not chasing time in flow. You're dancing with it. Or maybe you're dancing as it, because in flow, you're not separate from the present. You're the present, unfolding without resistance. Next, we'll explore how emotions shape your perception of time, how joy speeds it up, grief slows it down, and longing makes it loop. But for now, let go of the hour, let go of the minute, let go of the watcher within you, and rest in the rhythm of being without measure. You're resting now in a place without rush, no bells, no reminders, no deadlines pulling you forward. But even here, where the world feels so quiet, there's something moving inside you, something deeper than breath, something slower than thought, emotion, and with it comes a strange truth. Your feelings reshape your time. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but experientially. To your brain, time is not a constant stream. It's more like clay soft, mouldable, shifting its shape depending on what your heart is doing. Joy compresses time. Grief stretches it. Fear makes seconds feel like hours. Love makes hours disappear. You've felt this. The way a holiday flashes by in a blink. The way a hard conversation lasts forever. The way a laugh shared in candlelight feels like it both just happened and has always been with you. Time is not a machine. It's a mirror of your inner weather. This isn't just poetry. It's neuroscience. When you're afraid, your amygdala, the brain's emotion center, goes on alert. It increases attention, amplifies memory, slows down perceived time so you can respond, react, survive. And when you're joyful, your attention relaxes, your focus narrows. You don't track seconds because you don't need to. Time passes faster, not because it changes, but because you do. And then there's longing. Longing is different. It doesn't stretch or compress. It loops. It plays old memories on repeat. It revisits. It reopens. It makes you live the same moment over and over, even if it never really existed as you remember it. Longing blurs time's line into a circle. You walk it, again and again, as if it were the only path that leads home. Grief does something else. It removes colour from time. It slows it down not to help you savour, but because the mind can't keep up with the change. The world continues, but inside you feel like it has paused, and in a way, it has. Grief puts you in a different calendar, a private one, unshared. But here's the gentle beauty. These emotional distortions, they're not failures of perception. They're signs that you are alive, that you're feeling with your full self, that your mind is not a cold machine measuring seconds, but a soul interpreting experience through the lens of meaning. In love, you forget the clock. In loss, you hold each second like glass, and both are true, both are real. You are the timekeeper not by counting, but by caring. So tonight, as you lie here, let go of the urge to measure your life by the ticking of hands. Measure it instead by the weight of a look, the warmth of a memory, the ache of a goodbye that mattered. Next, we'll move beyond the line into circles and spirals and ask whether time, like feeling, was never meant to go in just one direction. But for now, let emotion be your clock, let feeling be your map. You are not lost in time, you're sculpting it with your heart. You're lying so still now that even your breath feels ancient. It doesn't rise and fall anymore, it flows. Like the sea has found a home inside your lungs. The world around you is hushed, and yet, beneath the quiet, you begin to feel something deep, something slow, something familiar, a rhythm, not a ticking, not a countdown, but a circle. Time, we've been told, is a line. From birth to death, from past to future, from beginning to end. But this may be the greatest illusion of all, that time moves forward and never returns. Because in truth, all around you, time moves in loops. Your body knows this. Even if your mind forgets, every 24 hours you complete a rhythm, you wake, you breathe, you sleep, you dream. And while you lie here now, wrapped in blankets and silence, your internal clock, the circadian rhythm, continues to tick. Not like a stopwatch, but like a tide, gently rising, gently falling, not aiming for anything, just returning, again and again. Even your cells keep time, your hormones, your temperature, your alertness. They all follow a cycle written not in numbers but in waves. Melatonin rises in the dark. Cortisol lifts you in the light. Your body was never made for calendars. It was made for sunrise and shadow. Look to the sky, and you'll see it there too. The moon, pulling oceans without ever saying a word. New moon, waxing, full, waning. A rhythm older than cities, older than writing, older than worry, and it turns, not toward a destination, but toward return. Every culture before the ticking of mechanical clocks has felt time this way. The moon marked the months, the sun marked the day. The seasons turned not as progress, but as return. Spring became summer, summer folded into autumn, autumn quieted into winter, and winter, instead of ending, returned again to spring. The world was not moving forward, it was breathing. And so were we. You can feel it, even now, in the way memories return, not randomly, but seasonally. A song you haven't heard in years suddenly plays and the air changes. A certain scent in late August reminds you of a childhood you never wrote down but never forgot. Your life doesn't stretch like a timeline, it circles. You live things more than once, not in repetition, but in spiral. Even grief returns in circles. So does love, so does wonder. You think you've moved past something, but then one quiet evening it finds you again, not to drag you back, but to walk with you, side by side, familiar and changed. Perhaps this is what presence really is, not the ability to stand still, but the willingness to return to the same moment with new eyes, again and again. The universe itself may agree. Some physicists explore the possibility that time, at the deepest level, might not be linear at all. They look at particle interactions that can move forward and backward. They study equations that work the same in both directions. They wonder if the arrow of time, that sense of before and after, is not fundamental, but emergent, not written into the universe, but woven by us. And maybe time has always been a spiral, moving outward, but returning constantly to its own shape, like galaxies, like DNA, like breath. This doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're being invited to live things more deeply, to see that time is not a line you race along, but a rhythm you dance within. So when you revisit an old thought, don't call it backsliding, call it another turn of the spiral. When you feel something you felt before, don't call it repetition, call it deepening. You're not returning to the same place. You're returning with more of yourself, with more stillness, more wisdom, more softness. Think of the earth as it spins and spins. It turns every day, but it doesn't just spin. It orbits, it leans, it loops around the sun in a great ellipse year after year after year. A loop within a loop. Time is not a path. It is a nesting, a weaving. So here you are now, in your own tiny orbit, lying in the dark, turning slowly inward, returning to this breath, this heartbeat, this quiet. And though the world tells you to keep moving forward, you are allowed to pause, you are allowed to circle back, you are allowed to stay. Next, we'll wonder if the future is already here, not waiting to arrive, but quietly existing beside us, just beyond the veil of perception. But for now, feel the circle, feel the rhythm beneath your ribs, feel the return of each breath as it arrives home. You're not late, you're not early, you're simply turning with the world that made you. You're still here, still listening, still breathing, but you may have already drifted far beyond where you began, not in space, but in thought, in the soft landscape of ideas where past, present, and future begin to blur. And from this restful place, a new question begins to rise, one that doesn't rush, but lingers. What if the future already exists? It seems like an impossible idea, the kind that only belongs in science fiction or whispered philosophies. But quietly, patiently, some physicists and philosophers have long considered it possible that time is not a river, but a landscape. Not something flowing from moment to moment, but something already there whole, unchanging, eternal. This idea is called eternalism, and it's not about fate, it's not about prophecy, it's about structure. Imagine time not as a line being drawn, but as a line that's already there, drawn in its entirety, from beginning to end. Now picture every moment of your life as a point along that line, your birth, your first laugh, the dream you had last night, the breath you're taking right now, the breath you'll take a week from now, all of it already in place, already real, not waiting to be created, just waiting to be experienced. This is called the block universe, a model of space-time where past, present, and future are equally real, equally present in the great shape of everything. We only feel the illusion of flowing forward because our consciousness moves along the line like a flashlight passing over a photograph. The image doesn't change, the light does. You might be wondering if this is true. Where is choice? Where is freedom? If the future is already there, are you just reading from a script, but maybe the future being real doesn't take away your freedom? Maybe it contains your freedom. Maybe the script was always written with your choices included, not forced, but known. Like reading the last chapter of a novel and realizing every step along the way was leading there by the truth of who you are. Even Einstein seemed to feel this. In a letter to a grieving friend, he wrote that for us believing physicists, the distinction between past, present and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. That doesn't mean we're stuck. It means we're held inside a universe that already contains every sunrise and every sigh. Imagine a reel of film. Each frame already exists. The laughter, the tears, the pauses. We only see one frame at a time, but all the others are already there. The ending is not in the future. It's in another frame you haven't reached yet. And your role is not to change the reel, but to walk through it with open eyes, to see, to feel, to live the journey from one frame to the next. But this idea is not just cosmic, it's personal. Because if the future is already real, then maybe the version of you who finds peace, who lets go, who heals, is already waiting. Not far ahead, but just out of view, a few frames away, already whole, already real. And if that's true, you don't have to rush. You don't have to scramble toward change. You only have to keep breathing, keep noticing, keep walking toward the version of yourself who's already becoming. This doesn't mean you give up. It means you trust that time is not your enemy. It's your path, your guide, your mirror, and every step you take, every thought you have, every quiet moment like this one, it all belongs to the same great unfolding. Next, we'll explore the mystery of prediction, how your brain is already trying to live a few seconds ahead of now. But for now, rest inside the idea that nothing is lost, that the future isn't waiting, it's already here, welcoming you frame by frame. You are not late. You are already right where you're meant to be, and so is everything you haven't yet lived. You rest inside predictive processing, where your brain guesses what's next before reality arrives, and how you're built to live ahead. You're lying here now, and all is calm. The air rests still across your skin. The quiet is full of breath, and the world holds its rhythm steady. But in your head, just beneath the stillness, a prediction is unfolding, a quiet, constant guessing, a soft anticipation. Even now, before anything changes, your brain is preparing for the next breath, the next sound, the next sensation. You're not simply reacting to the world, you are predicting it, and you have been your whole life. Your brain is not a camera, passively recording experience. It is more like a theatre director planning, adjusting, rewriting the play before the actors even take the stage. Every moment you experience is not just perceived, it is anticipated. Modern neuroscience calls this predictive processing, and it may be the most important thing your brain does. Your mind builds a model, an internal simulation of the world, and constantly updates it with each new moment. Not because the world tells it what to feel, but because the world confirms or denies what it already expected. In this view, perception isn't about collecting data, it's about checking your guesses. Even your sight is a prediction. When you look at the world, photons hit your retina, signals travel into the brain, but by the time those signals arrive, they're already old, too slow to match real time. So your brain fills in what it thinks is there. It predicts where a moving object will be before your eyes can track it. It colours the blind spots in your vision. It turns flickers of sensation into the smooth continuity of now. You feel like you're responding to the world, but in reality, the world is responding to your expectations. When something surprises you, a sudden noise, an unexpected word, a touch out of place, it isn't just because of the event itself, it's because it violated your brain's quiet prediction, and that's why it catches your attention. This is true for your body too. You walk without thinking. You breathe without planning. Your posture adjusts for terrain you haven't consciously seen, because your brain isn't reacting with each step, it's projecting ahead, preparing for a future it doesn't know, but expects. Prediction keeps you alive, but it also shapes who you are. When you remember someone, you don't just recall their face, you predict their voice, their habits, their tone. When you walk into a familiar place, your brain loads that space like an old program, a map of associations ready before you cross the threshold. You're not entering the room, you're entering your memory of it, your expectation of it, and that expectation becomes your experience. Even emotions are predictions. You don't feel something simply because it's happening. Your brain uses past patterns to predict how you should feel. When a friend smiles at you, you feel warmth, because your brain predicts that smiles mean safety, connection. But if that smile came after betrayal, your brain might predict a threat, and you would feel fear or distrust, even if the smile hasn't changed. So what, then, is the present moment? It may be less of a destination and more of a forecast, a weather report your mind gives you based on previous storms. You don't live in raw sensation, you live in expectation, and most of the time, those expectations are right. But when they're wrong, that's when you wake up. That's when the moment feels real, new. When a song moves you, when a smell transports you, when the sky looks different for no reason, it's because the prediction failed, and your mind had to reach for something deeper. This is why presence feels rare, because your brain doesn't want you in the present. It wants you just ahead, ready, looking forward. You are evolution's attempt at being early, but sometimes you can quiet the guess. Sometimes you can just be here. And when you do, when you soften the grip of prediction, you begin to notice things. Colours feel fuller, sounds feel layered, the warmth of a blanket feels like a sunrise. This isn't magic, it's the absence of assumption. You're not adding anything. You're removing the filter that was always between you and the moment. But don't blame your brain for predicting. It has kept you safe. It has guided you, and perhaps most beautifully, it has imagined your future again and again so you wouldn't be afraid of stepping into it. Next, we'll slow everything down and ask if stillness is the only place where prediction ends and presence begins. But for now, let your thoughts arrive without chasing them. Let your breath move without planning it. You're not behind. You're not ahead. You're right here, in the quiet space between what you expected and what the world has gently given you instead. You slow everything down, touching a single breath, and wonder if the only real now is the one you stop to feel. You're here now, not in thought, not in memory, but truly, quietly, unmistakably here. It began slowly. You may not have noticed it at first. The soft release of a long-held breath. The moment your shoulders dropped without asking. The way the thoughts that once tugged at you have faded, like footsteps vanishing into mist. And now you are still. Not frozen, not silent. Still. There is a difference. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of everything moving within you, gently, without rush. It is breath without urgency, sensation without narrative, awareness without commentary. It is you, being without doing. For most of your waking life, you have been carried by motion, by the stream of nexts. You wake, you reach, you scroll, you answer, you plan. Even rest is often scheduled, something to get better at, something to optimize. And the moment you stop, your thoughts accelerate. Not because they are urgent, but because your brain, like a wheel long spun, keeps turning out of habit. But here, in this moment, you let that wheel slow. You let time arrive without bringing anything with it. You stop trying to meet the next second before it knocks, and in doing so, you begin to notice the truth. The only moment that ever truly exists is the one you stop to feel. Everything else is memory, or anticipation, or invention. But this breath, this pause, this sensation in your chest, this is real, and it is enough. Stillness is not empty, it is full of tiny pulses, full of subtle rhythms, the slow ebb of your breath, the faint shift of your heartbeat, the almost imperceptible hum of your body at rest. You may think nothing is happening, but the entire universe is in motion within you, and it speaks most clearly when you are still. Mystics and monks, poets and physicists have all returned to this one idea that beneath all experience there is a silence that holds it, a quiet that listens without answering. And when you stop moving long enough, you meet that quiet, not as a stranger, but as something you've always known, something you forgot you could be. The present moment, as your brain understands it, is tiny, a fraction of a second, a neurological window no more than a few heartbeats wide. But when you give yourself to it, it stretches, it blooms. You begin to realize that now is not a point, it is a field, a space that expands as you rest inside it, and the more you slow down, the wider it becomes. This is not something to chase, not something to achieve. You don't reach stillness. You fall into it, like rain settling into earth, like a sigh at the end of a long day, like a wave forgetting how to crash. You don't force it. You remember it. There is nowhere to be right now. There is nothing to understand. There is only this inhale and this exhale, this gentle settling into the place where time stops needing to pass and begins, instead, to unfold. Next, we'll explore the art of letting go and ask if releasing our grip on the present is the very thing that makes it real. But for now, stay just a little longer. You don't need to move. You don't need to speak. Let this be the moment that doesn't lead to anything. Let this be the moment that simply is, and in being sets you free. You loosen your grip on the present and instead feel the vast web of moments you're part of, past, future, and in between. You are here, but only gently, and that, in itself, is the shift. You're not gripping the moment anymore. You're not tightening yourself around the idea of presence. You're letting it hold you like a hammock holds a sleeper, like a river cradles a leaf. You are resting not in the now, but with it. And that is a very different thing. We often speak of presence as something to capture, something to reach, as if the moment were a butterfly and we had to stay still enough or pure enough to trap it in our hands. But perhaps the harder we try to grip the present, the more it slips through us, like sand, like breath. Because the present was never something meant to be held. It was something meant to hold us. Imagine time not as a straight path, but as an endless net, a web stretching in every direction, each knot a memory, each thread a possibility, and you not standing above it, but woven into it, not passing through time, but suspended within it, a part of its fabric. You are not chasing now, you are one of its strands. Letting go of the present is not abandonment, it's trust. Trust that you don't have to grasp in order to stay. Trust that time will not forget you if you stop trying to memorize each moment. You don't have to cling. You don't have to hold so tightly. You can loosen. You can exhale. And presence will still carry you. You may have believed that to be fully alive, you had to be constantly aware, constantly tuned in, but there is also life in the unfocused gaze. There is beauty in letting yourself drift without guilt, without expectation. You do not have to be awake to every second for your life to be meaningful. Some of the most important things happen while you're resting. Some of the most sacred thoughts emerge when your grip softens. Letting go of now is letting yourself be part of time, rather than outside of it. It is the difference between being a clock ticking, tracking, measuring, and being a flame, flickering within the rhythm of wind. One records, the other belongs. This is not to say that presence isn't precious. It is, but it doesn't ask to be owned. It asks only to be noticed in passing, like sunlight through trees, like laughter from another room, brief but complete. When you let go of the need to hold on to now, you begin to feel all the moments rushing toward you like a tide, not a flood, not a storm, but a rising, a fullness. You realize that every future you could live is already stretching a thread toward you, and every past you have lived is not gone, but folded quietly within you. You become not a traveller moving from past to future, but a constellation in the sky of time, one point of light in a vast and echoing field of brightness. You do not pass through time, your time expressing itself as breath, as thought, as body. Next, we'll enter the final drift of sleep, the timeless homecoming that welcomes all moments equally. But for now, let the moment go. Let the shape of now dissolve. You are not falling behind. You're not forgetting anything. You're becoming part of something larger than now. You're becoming a listener in time's endless song, and every note includes you. You finally dissolve into the softest place, where time, self, and sensation all melt, and you return to the quiet that holds all moments. You've arrived, not at a place, but at a vanishing. You're not waking. You're not dreaming. You're resting in the gentle space between. This is where time stops whispering and starts humming. A hum that comes not from clocks, not from calendars, but from within. You're no longer counting seconds. They're folding into each other, becoming one long breath. And that breath is a lullaby. You feel warm now, heavy in the way that stars are heavy, quiet in the way snow is quiet as it falls through lamplight. You feel your body dissolve not into nothing, but into everything. All the thoughts of the day have stepped back. All the tasks, the questions, the what-ifs have knelt into silence as in something deeper has arrived in their place. Not an answer, not a goal, just you, unfinished and perfect. Sleep is not escape. It is reunion with your breath, with your cells, with the soft rhythms that began before you were born. You're returning now not to a version of yourself, but to the place within you that doesn't change when the world does. The part of you that simply is. Time doesn't enter here. There is no past to remember, no future to reach, no present to perform. Only this, only here, only the feeling of being held without needing to be known. Let yourself go. Let the muscles fall. Let the eyes soften. Let thought release its grip, like leaves falling from branches they no longer need. Let your whole self sink gently to the bottom of your own breath, and know that this, right here, is home. You're not missing anything. You're not late for any moment. You're the moment. You're the breath. You're the silence that gently surrounds it all. Sleep now, and if you dream, may it be gentle, and if you don't, that's okay too. You've already found the quiet beneath it all, the place where even time falls asleep. You linger in the soft afterglow of surrender and discover that even in rest, the cosmos is beside you vast, listening and endlessly patient. You thought the journey was ending, and yet, as you drift at the very edge of waking, at the quietest threshold before sleep, something in you continues, not with urgency, not with movement, but with presence, a soft, endless unfolding that doesn't need to rush, because presence, you now understand, is not a thing you hold for a moment and then lose. It is a rhythm you return to, again and again, with each breath, with each heartbeat, with each surrender to stillness. And in this rhythm, you are not alone. The stars do not sleep. The galaxies do not hurry. They expand slowly, each moment a widening, a deepening, a quiet breath outward. And you, this small body, this soft witness in the dark, you are part of that rhythm. You are not separate. You are not beside the universe. You are within it. Even now, as you lie here, as your thoughts begin to dissolve into light, as the edges of identity grow soft, you are still held by gravity, by memory, by stardust and silence, held by all the moments you've ever loved, all the ones that wait for you still. The future does not pull you. The past does not bind you. You are floating, not away, but toward something, toward a kind of quiet that hums with meaning. Let your mind open now, wider than the sky. Imagine every version of yourself that ever wished to rest, every child within you that wanted safety, every dreamer who looked up and wondered what stars were for. They're all here now. They've arrived. You have brought them with you, and you have given them rest. This is the part of the night when the thinking ends, where the asking fades, where all that remains is a presence too deep to name. You do not have to define it. You only have to receive it, like a hush falling across a forest, like the ocean exhaling its long breath against the shore. You are enough, not because of what you know, not because of what you do, but because you are here, now, forever folded into the vastness. And so, as the stars keep shining, as the galaxies keep drifting, know this: you are not late, you're not behind, you're not forgotten. You are simply resting in the arms of the cosmos, and it is glad to hold you. Sleep now, for as long as you need. Time will wait. The universe will wait. And when you return, so will the moment, still open, still ready, still yours.